A flight from America to the UK for 2 days in court, a scare, much disappointment, no contact with his family. These were the ingredients of Prince Harry's most recent trip to London, during which he found himself, among other things, on the same soil as his father for approximately 24 hours. Yet again, they didn't meet. The long-standing rule of the British royal family has always been to stay as far away from courtrooms as possible, avoiding them like the plague. Yet Harry, in one of his many rebellious decisions, has broken even this unwritten rule. And while King Charles III was on a state visit to Rome and meeting the Pope, which he said wasn't going to happen, Harry entered the High Court to pursue his legal battle against the UK Home Office. And as if this were not enough, while the hearing was taking place.
Welcome back to the C News. I'm Smiley, here to cut through the noise and talk about what's really happening behind the headlines. Today, we're diving into a bizarre and revealing moment from Prince Harry's ongoing court case in London, where he's fighting for something as basic as the right to feel safe in the country he once served so loyally. In the middle of it all, Harry was suddenly escorted out of court, not because he did anything wrong, but because of a minor disruption that instantly reminded us why he's in court in the first place. This case isn't about celebrity or entitlement, it's about a man who gave decades of his life to an institution, only to be stripped of protection the moment he chose to step back. Let's be clear, Prince Harry didn't just walk away from the royal family for fun. He left to protect his wife, his children, and his peace of mind. And now, even as he's trying to return to the UK for visits, he's being forced to beg for security that should never have been taken away in the first place. As always, I want to thank my Patreon supporters, David, William, Kraus, Electrowave, and Dilemma. Your support allows me to speak freely and honestly about these issues without having to play nice with outdated institutions. If you'd like to help keep this channel independent, the Patreon link is at the end. Now, let's unpack what happened in court, what it really says about the monarchy, and why Prince Harry deserves so much better than this. The scene was chaotic, but not because of anything Harry did. A woman in the public gallery, clearly a passionate supporter, called out in his defense, shouting that she supported him and blaming the press for driving him out of the country. Her words echoed what so many of us have been thinking: Harry didn't leave the UK because he wanted to escape responsibility. He left because he was hounded, manipulated, and left vulnerable by a press machine the monarchy conveniently tolerates when it suits them. Security immediately stepped in, not to address a real threat, but to whisk Harry out of the courtroom, just in case. And while the response may have been standard protocol, it was also a stark reminder of how vulnerable he is without proper protection. This wasn't a violent incident. It was an overly enthusiastic woman with a voice. But even that minor interruption created enough concern to pull him out of the room. If that doesn't underline his need for security, what does? Let's be honest, if this had happened to a working royal, the institution would have spun it as a heartwarming moment of public affection. But because it's Harry, independent, outspoken, and critical of the firm, it becomes a justification for the palace and the state to turn their backs. The truth is, Harry's still being punished for walking away from a toxic, controlling system. He was escorted out of that courtroom not just by bodyguards, but by a metaphorical shadow cast by the very institution he once trusted. Prince Harry's legal fight for police protection isn't about privilege, it's about justice. After everything he's been through, the threats, the relentless harassment, the racist abuse directed at his wife, you'd think the British state would take his safety seriously. Instead, he's had to drag this case through the courts, just to argue for something every other working royal takes for granted. What we're witnessing is the monarchy and the government sending a message: if you step out of line, don't expect to be protected. His lawyers have made it clear that the process used to revoke his security was opaque and unfair. No proper meeting. No thorough risk assessment, just a quiet decision made behind closed doors to cut him off. If that sounds petty and political, it's because it is. This wasn't about cost or logistics. It was about reminding him who holds the power. And yet, Harry is still showing up, still engaging with the system that betrayed him, because he believes in accountability. That takes courage. Meanwhile, the palace has remained silent. No show of support, no public statement, nothing. That silence isn't just cold, it's calculated. They want to isolate him, delegitimize him, and force him into irrelevance. But the irony is, the more they try to push him away, the more the public sees the cracks in the crown. Harry's fight for security is shining a light on the ugly side of royal politics, and no amount of pomp or protocol can hide it anymore. Public response to the courtroom incident has been split, but one thing is certain: people are paying attention. Many see the woman's outburst as raw, honest support for Harry. And they're right. She spoke the truth out loud. The UK press and the royal establishment worked hand in hand to alienate and endanger Harry. Her voice, while unconventional in a courtroom, echoed the voices of thousands who feel Harry's treatment has been deeply unfair. She may have been removed, but her message landed. Of course, the media was quick to frame the whole thing as chaos. Words like dramatic and rushed were thrown around, painting Harry as fragile or paranoid. But let's flip that narrative. This was a man calmly attending court, addressing real risks, only to be interrupted by an emotionally charged supporter. The press then weaponized that moment to make him look unstable. It's the same old tactic: frame Harry as difficult, dramatic, or deluded, and distract from the system that failed him. But people are seeing through it. More and more, the public is questioning the monarchy's priorities. Why is someone like Prince Andrew afforded silent protection and privilege, while Harry, who served his country in war, raised millions for veterans, and built a global platform for mental health, is left fighting for basic safety? The answer isn't flattering to the royal family. And the media's desperate spin can't keep masking it forever. This isn't just about one courtroom or one prince. It's about a monarchy that seems increasingly unable to handle dissent or modernity. Harry's treatment shows us exactly how the institution reacts to independence, not with compassion or reform, but with exclusion and control. He challenged their unspoken rules, and instead of adapting, they've chosen to freeze him out. That's not leadership, that's fear. The royal family has always relied on loyalty, but blind loyalty is becoming harder to demand in today's world. Younger generations want transparency, empathy, and accountability, values Harry clearly embraces. The monarchy, meanwhile, clings to outdated traditions and tight-lipped silence, hoping to maintain its mystique. But mystique doesn't pay for security. Mystique doesn't protect your children from paparazzi. And mystique certainly doesn't earn public trust in 2025. What Harry represents is change. And the monarchy isn't ready for it. By choosing his own path, protecting his family, and calling out the hypocrisy he witnessed firsthand, Harry has exposed the brittleness of the system. Every time they punish him, they remind us why he left. And every time he speaks out, more people listen. The crown may still shine, but thanks to Harry, the cracks underneath are finally visible. So there it is, a courtroom interruption that turned into a perfect symbol of Prince Harry's fight. Not just for security, but for dignity. For truth. For fairness. And once again, the monarchy has shown where it stands, firmly against anyone who dares to hold it accountable. Harry, meanwhile, continues to show up with courage and grace, even when he has every reason to turn his back on the very country that turned on him. To those still clinging to the old narratives, that Harry is bitter, or entitled, or attention-seeking, I invite you to take a deeper look. This is a man trying to protect his family, tell his story, and stand in his truth. And instead of support, he's met with silence, hostility, and sabotage. But still, he stands. And that's why people continue to stand with him. Thank you for watching. If you value honest analysis like this, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Massive thanks to David, William, Kraus, Electrawave, and Dilemma. You keep this channel alive. You can join them at patreon.com/Professor Tim Wilson. I'm Professor Tim Wilson. Stay sharp, stay compassionate, and never stop questioning the crown.